I'm Mason Mount. You're listening to the London is Blue podcast.
The biggest person to benefit from this was Tammy. Chelsea's new number 9 picks up a brace at Carrow Road and does so while scoring 2 great goals, I'd say, for the guy. So Squawka saying he had 3 shots, 2 on target, 2 goals. Very clinical. And then at Grant DeSmit saying 62 career goals and the first one from outside the box for Tammy Abraham. He has had so many goals scoring in all of these different leagues and youth teams and subs and everything. My biggest question was could he do it at this level? Like you said, he just needed a chance. Outside of his 2 goals today, also kind of touch on how do you think Tammy's looked overall in the small sample we've gotten to see?
Well, I think that it was by far his best game, obviously, against Norwich. So I was very doubtful about him. You know, I didn't believe that maybe he could be a Chelsea player still. You know, you need to see something. I wanted to see him get the chance, of course, and I think he maybe potentially has a higher ceiling than Michy Batshuayi. He could be a better player in the long run. He's got more to his game than Olivier Giroud. A better goal scorer for sure than Olivier Giroud. You know, at least at the lower levels, but we wanted to see him take that next step. And that's why that game was so important against Norwich, was that he was taking that next step. I thought, you know, against Man United, he was a little bit bullied. Against Liverpool, when he came on, he didn't really impact the game massively. He did okay. He's a decent player, but, you know, I really wanted to see him impact the game, you know, in the final third. And Lampard spoke about it. Getting that goal builds your confidence. And we saw it. 1 goal became 2. He had never scored for Chelsea. He'd not really scored a lot in the Premier League, but he looked the part massively. And I think that he's a really important player because he fits Chelsea's system really well and much better than Giroud because it's a high pressing system. You need a lot of energy, a lot of pace up front. I think Lampard wants his striker to go in behind as well, which is something Giroud can't do. So all these things make him kind of a perfect fit, you know, tactically in this system. If he thrives, I think Chelsea will do a lot better this season. I think Giroud will still play and still have an impact. But certainly the striker as a whole at Chelsea with the transfer ban, that was the main position that I was fearing for. You know, you lose Eden Hazard. You didn't work out with Morata. It didn't work out with Higuain. You're thinking, where are the goals coming from? And you're looking at the 3 strikers and there's a question mark on each of them for various different reasons. And Tammy getting the goals is a big deal for that because potentially he's the highest scorer in this team. And who do you think is going to be Chelsea's top scorer? It's a very difficult question to answer, especially before the Norwich game. And I asked a few journalists, me, Liam, and Ollie Harbord were talking about it after the Lampard press conference, and we all came up with different answers. I think I said Mason Mount. One of them said Pedro, and Tammy Abraham we weren't sure about. And that's down to Abraham. He's got a year to have this chance, and now he needs to prove himself. After the year, he either sinks or swims. That's what's going to happen this year.
Well, I think the interesting thing is Tammy already has matched Olivier Giroud's goal contribution in the Premier League for the entirety of last season that he played.
Okay, easy. Giroud didn't get a lot of starts, to be fair. Right. Tammy probably has about as many starts as Giroud did last season,
but
too.
I do think it's something to keep in mind. So you think about Willian had 3 goals all of last season in the Premier League. So Pedro had 8. And so he's already like getting to a level in one game where he's contributing a significant number of goals. And again, it's not good. It's going to be a little bit of, I think, feast and famine depending upon the opposition, depending upon who he's playing with. But what I saw, and I think we've been maybe critical of Nick, is some of the hold-up play. I thought his hold-up play against those Norwich center backs actually was extremely good, considering that he's been criticized for maybe being a little taller, a little lankier than maybe someone like Giroud. But I think in general, he was able to hold up very, very well and was the reason why our attack was actually more in sync this week than maybe it was in the prior matches.
Yeah, so a couple of things. One, the bar for Tammy is not 8 league goals, and just because that's what Willian has achieved so far, it is as a top line in his Chelsea career, it doesn't mean anything to me. If Tammy is going to get the lion's share of the starts, then his benchmark is 20 league goals. I mean, that's what we need, right? I think everyone kind of recognizes that as like the bar for a Premier League striker of any quality. So I think that's, he's 10% there. So, let's kind of watch him as he grows. I mean, I think to your point on the hold-up play, Dan, that's where I've been the most critical probably of Tammy, is not not his hunger to score goals. You know, I mean, he smashed one against the post at Old Trafford, and I think got a little bit unlucky there. But you know, I was more concerned, could he bring other people into the attack instead of going at it alone? He showed me a lot today. I think he still has a lot of work to do, and competing against Giroud, who might be the best in the Premier League at that, is going to be a growth opportunity for him this year. I was blown away on the first goal that he had the touch and clinicality to finish that. You know, the ball kind of fell to him, and as a striker, Naz, you have to be in the right position. You have to have your, you know, kind of your brain switched on at all times to take advantage of that opportunity. And I was so proud of him that he was able to convert that chance. And then obviously his hug with Frank Lampard tells you everything you need to know about how, you know, he felt about this opportunity and getting his first goal at Chelsea.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about earlier as well. He's kind of backed by a manager, you know, through thick and thin, and that's what you need, you know, to perform at the highest level as a young guy. And you know, a lot of players would dream of that opportunity. I spoke to Carlton Cole, who used to play for Chelsea when they had Drogba, and he said he could have dreamt of this opportunity. He wished that he had a run of 4 games in a row where he could play, and whatever he did, he wouldn't get judged. And that moment was, you know, the Frank Lampard's trust paying off in a player. The fact he scored such a beautiful goal. I think it was Chelsea's best goal of the season, that goal. It was beautiful team move, absolutely sensational. And Tammy was involved in the build-up, which, you know, it was on the halfway line. He laid it off to Mason Mount. Mason Mount, a cross-field ball to Christian Pulisic, who drove into the box. Aspilicueta makes a run on the outside, crosses it in. Mount's also in the box, tries to head the ball. It just misses Mount. Tammy Abraham comes in. He's run 50 yards. He volleys it first time after running 50 yards right in the bottom corner. That is a sensational team move. That is exactly what Chelsea wants to accomplish this season. And it's a very, very fast transition, which I thought was a fantastic goal. And, you know, I think it was better than the second goal, even though it was a long-range strike.
Naz, that'll be assist Piliqueta to you, sir. Thank you.
Gosh.
Thank you,
You're canceled.
everybody.
You're canceled, Nick.
I am not canceled. I'm even wearing a shirt today. Let's go.
Your eyes lit up then. Your eyes were lit up.
He
was just waiting to jump in on that. You know, look, Tammy, I thought Tammy's combination play was fantastic as well. And I feel like we see progress in his game, his hold-up play and just his ability to, you know, try to occupy the center backs. He's growing in it. I mean, it's not Diego Costa by any means, but that's okay. So the fact that he was able to you know, show some more improvement and even get on the score sheet is massive.
I think to your point though, Naz, like his first goal is a better finish than the second goal. It's a harder finish for sure.
Yeah. Half volley coming through people.
And to keep it low is really, really hard. You see a lot of people sky that thing into Rosed, and that's kind of the, you know, again, your brain just has to be switched on. To me, like, you have to be ready for those opportunities. Frank always was, as a Chelsea player, coming in late into the box, and so that was really impressive. And I genuinely was so happy for him. You know, I think to get that weight off your shoulders of not scoring and to do it twice, and then to have the support of everybody after he's had a really tough couple of weeks with the, you know, the racism stuff and, you know, not scoring, and, you know, he didn't start last week. I think it's pretty great for him.
Yeah, and what I would say as well is that the exciting thing about Tammy Abraham is he can score different types of goals, which we saw in both of those strikes. And you know, he's just a guy who just offers a bit more than Giroud. I think Giroud is a great player, but you know, he's only you need to cross the ball in the box, and I don't think a lot of teams play like that anymore. Certainly not at the top level. You know, getting your fullbacks right in behind teams, crossing it in, and Giroud will score a header or an overhead kick pretty much. But other than that, I don't think he's a great sort of player in this pressing system. So Tammy Abraham, he's the sort of striker Chelsea are looking for and have been looking for. A £58 million striker failed last time. Gonzalo Higuain failed. A guy's playing a World Cup final. So it's not easy to wear the shirt. Like you said, he's had a hard time. And it's because wearing the Chelsea shirt, it can either make you grow, like Mason Mount and Tammy Abraham seems to be doing, or it can crush you as well. There's two ways of reacting to wearing that blue shirt.
Yeah, he's got the support system. It looks like he needs to have a run and be successful. This is just a sign of progress in the right direction. And obviously he's coming up with the goods. We needed all of his goals to get a result today. And so they weren't even an Higuain's 2 goals against Brighton. Like, these were take the lead, continue to drive forward. The game is tied, break the deadlock. These are very much pressure situation because everyone been talking, when's Frank going to get his first win? This was huge for the team, and he stepped up and led the line like we needed. So I also want to point out, I love the tackles he was putting in on some of our center backs. Like, he's not afraid to mix it up with those guys, and I think that's what I love seeing about him in that number 9 role.
He was willing to body up. He is willing to muscle around, and I think I think the criticism when you're not watching the entirety of the pitch is that he's not putting in the work there. But when you see in some of the replays, or I'm sure Naz, as you were watching there, like he's a combatant. He is someone who's willing to get, rough and tumble a little bit with the center backs and force the question of, will you actually be able to match me for 60, 70, 80 minutes?
Yeah, definitely. He did a great job of it. It was his all-round play. If he only scored 1 goal or he didn't even score, it would have still been a good game. Honestly, he was an absolute thorn in their side. There's so many chances, so many touches in the box that were excellent. It was great, especially in the first half. He faded a little bit in the second half, but it was kind of a game of patience in the second half. Chelsea had possession; they were managing the game very well. As a striker, you just wait for that chance, and and he did. He got the goal, and that's all you need to do as a striker. You don't need to come and find the ball. You need to wait up front and be an option to your team to hit. He either runs short or he goes in behind. The defenders don't know what to do with him because he can do it all. Whereas with Giroud, you can sometimes find that teams know what he's going to do. And if they can stop that threat, that Giroud's an expert at doing one thing. If they can stop him doing that, then he's pretty much, you can pretty much mark him out of the game. Tammy's going to be more difficult if he can just build up that sort of mentality and that sort of, that belief in himself, really, that he's capable of playing at this level. The next step will be obviously to do it against the top 6 side. There's going to be further questions in his career. This is by no means the end of the Tammy Abraham story and whether he can make it at Chelsea, but it's just a really, really positive first start. And, whatever, we've just seen a boy realise his dream from the under 8s to the Chelsea first team. There's nothing more beautiful than that. It's already a beautiful story. But let's hope that, the story's not over and he keeps writing more and more chapters of it.
Without a doubt. Yeah.
My final note on this, Brandon, before we move on. Apparently Frank told him today's the day before the match. If you believe that kind of stuff.
That's Jose Mourinho written all over it.
I know. It was exactly what I was going to say. Like, if that's true, that's pretty impressive.